Lecture number 9. It is about quality control tests of aggregates and their acceptance criteria. Today I will like to explain you very briefly about which type of the test is required in order to validate the aggregate. So first of all, you should keep that in mind that testing of aggregate is essential. And for each test, there is a minimum and maximum acceptable limit. Now the question is, why we do testing? For what purpose? Here I would like to tell you one thing. For this QC testing, we want to ensure that when aggregates are used in concrete, then it should enhance the following properties. Related to the concrete. Number 1, durability. Number 2, strength. And number 3, performance. And next, which are those tests which need to be performed on aggregate, and those tests are going to satisfy the properties of the aggregate. The first property of the aggregate, which we have already explained, that is about the hardness. This is the property, and this property of the aggregate is measured by Los Angeles abrasion. And this Los Angeles abrasion, it is measured by the standard ASTM C131. And what is the maximum acceptable limit? This maximum acceptable limit is known as the criteria if its value is exceeding 3%. Then this aggregate would be rejected. So if the value, for example, if Los Angeles abrasion value comes lower than 30%, so it means that our aggregates are okay. So this limit is known as the acceptance criteria. And after giving this hardness, we are going to explain the second type of this property related to the test. It is known as mechanical strength. Of aggregate. This mechanical strength of the aggregate is measured by two methods. First method is known as aggregate impact value. And this value is measured by B as part 112. And the second of this one is known as aggregate crushing value. And this value is determined by the method part 110. So this is the standard, this is the property, and after that, what is the maximum acceptable limit for all of the above? 30% maximum. If this mechanical strength of the aggregate is having the value less than 30%, so it means our aggregate are okay. So this okay is the acceptance criteria for this one. And after explaining this property, and next property we have to explain it is the soundness. This is the third property. Soundness means resistance of aggregate to degradation by weathering effect. So let me tell you, resistance of aggregates to disintegration. / weathering. And for this one, we are using the standard ASTM C88. And this is done by two chemical, Na2SO4, magnesium sulfate. And what is the maximum acceptable limit for this one? 12%. If it is exceeding this limit, it means our aggregate need to be rejected. So this is the acceptance criteria. It should always be less than this. So this is my acceptance criteria. After explaining this soundness, we are going to explain the other test that is known as our particle shape. Fourth property. This particle shape is studied under two rules. Number one, flakiness. Number two, elongation. And the maximum acceptable limit for these two properties is 35%. So this is the extreme limit. If it is exceeding, not acceptable. If it is less than this one, this is acceptable. So this is the acceptance criteria, 35%. And for this, we are using this British method, BS part 105. And after giving this particle shape, we have to find out the specific gravity. Specific gravity will be found out for the coarse aggregate and for the fine aggregate. For this coarse aggregate, the value is ASTM C 127. For the fine aggregate, ASTM C 128. And here the minimum acceptable limit is 2.6. This is the minimum value. It means our specific gravity should always be greater than this. So this value is given over here as an acceptance criteria. And for this one, next, very, very important, this specific gravity is studied under SSD. This is studied under oven dry, and this is studied under apparent. Okay, and minimum value required is 2.6. And next, the fifth one. After this, we are going to explain water absorption. This water absorption again for the coarse aggregate. Again further the find aggregate, and again it is studied by the C127, C128. And what is the maximum limit for this water absorption is 2%. If it is exceeding the 2%, we will not accept the aggregate. If it is less than 2%, we will accept it. And there are some other tests also, but just I am going to explain these six type of the test. But mark my word, here I have given you brief introduction about the quality control test of the aggregate. Still you can perform some chemical test on this one, and like sulfate content, like chloride content, how much is the quantity of your aggregate, how much is the organic content over there, so and so on. But I have just one thing in the mind to tell you very briefly, which are very important, which I have explained to you. But here I would like to tell you one thing. Whatever I have explained it over here, it is as per UAE requirement. Maybe if you are in India, if you are in Pakistan or some other part of the world, you will have to follow your own local standard or local specification that which type of the test is required for the aggregate to be used in the country. So next I would like to tell you one thing. Whatever test I have explained over here, I will not go in detail about these tests because that is time consuming. You all people know how the tests are performed. Just I have to give you brief summary that why this test is done and what is the acceptance criteria for this test and what type of the testing we are doing in UAE, United Arab Emirates. So for God's sake, if you are in India, follow your own specification. If you are in Pakistan, some other part of the world, follow your own specification. That which type of the test is required for the aggregate and what is the acceptance criteria or limit for those tests. Thank you for seeing this.